Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm your host, Amanda Lamb. In today's deep dive conversation with my friend Connie, we're talking about what it means to be motivated, to strive despite the obstacles put in front of you. That thing inside of you, that thing inside of all of us, that makes us keep going when things can seem hopeless. Connie, welcome to the program.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm happy you're here. So tell me where you were a couple of years ago when things were going really well for you.
So a couple of years ago, my spouse and I, we were living in a luxury apartment. The apartment complex had been built for about a year. We were working 2 jobs, making pretty good money. My daughter lives with us. We were able to travel to Dubai. We've been all over the world, and life was just good. We were not behind on any bills. We had a lot of money saved up.
You had vehicles?
We had 2 vehicles. We had a 3-bedroom apartment. We had 2 vehicles, and we were just able to do whatever we wanted to do. We could go buy whatever we wanted to buy. We were living the normal life.
And this despite, and you've shared with me a little bit about your background, growing up, you didn't have everything you wanted and everything you needed. It was rough at times.
Yes, for sure. I would like to say that growing up, everyone that was supposed to love me didn't. So I didn't grow up with my mom. I didn't grow up with my dad. I grew up with my grandmother, but I still had a lot of challenges. And just from being abandoned at a young age like that, it was something that you have to experience to really understand what I'm saying. But it wasn't the best childhood at all. I have a lot of trauma that I've had to heal from.
And so the fact that you had gotten to this place in your life, now how many years ago are we talking with the apartment?
We're talking 3 years ago.
Okay. And how old are you now, Connie?
I'm 31.
Okay. So 3 years ago, late 20s, things were going really well.
Yes.
And then, of course, as we all know, the pandemic hit, and that changed things for a lot of people. So what changed for you, and what path did you take as a result?
So pretty much what changed is my daughter came back from a vacation with her father, and she was sick. But, the pandemic had just kind of happened, so it could have been a cold or it could have been the COVID. But I'm a mom where I'm so affectionate and loving, so when she came back and she was sick, I was holding her, making sure I'm there for her. And then all of a sudden, I didn't feel well. So I texted him, and I'm like, is Naya, does she have a cold or does she have COVID? So I got her tested, and she had COVID. And lo and behold, I had COVID. And from there, I had just started a new job like 3 months before, but I was still in my 90-day period. And after the 14 days, my job fired me. And from there, I was out of work. So now I have one person making all the income, but eventually with all our savings and one person working, eventually the money is going to start to run out. So that's where it started to go downhill at.
And so at some point you couldn't pay the rent.
At some point, no, I could not pay the rent anymore. And the thing is, I got denied for unemployment. So I really had no income.
So when you couldn't pay the rent and you couldn't get unemployment, what was the next step?
The next step was my spouse was just paying the rent as much as possible, and then eventually we stopped paying the rent. And I really feel like it was just by the grace of God that we were able to stay there as long as we did. I lost my job in September of 2020. We did not get evicted until July 1st of 2022.
And where did you go?
The streets in downtown Raleigh.
Connie, we're going to be back and talk more about this after the break.
Okay.
Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. So right before the break, Connie, you mentioned that after this job loss and the pandemic and things just went downhill for you, so you and your partner were on the streets. Did you go to a shelter?
Yes, eventually we did go to a shelter, but before that we slept outside, hotel lobbies, downtown at Moore Square Park, and then eventually we did make it into a shelter.
What was that like after having what many people would call a normal life, to be sleeping on the streets? How it's hard to wrap your head around that.
Yeah, it definitely is. It was heartbreaking. I would say that it was very, very heartbreaking, not only because we were experiencing this, but my daughter, she had to go live with her dad full time. And it was kind of embarrassing because, just 2 years ago, we were in Dubai. We were able to do whatever we wanted to do. And now we're living on the streets, experiencing things that we've never experienced before. Like, we both never rode a bus before, but now there's our only means of transportation. It was very heartbreaking.
So Well, and I would imagine it was also scary.
Very scary. It's dark outside where sometimes we have to sleep at the bus station. There's nothing but men around. It's just, I feel like even though I had a really rough childhood, I still was not prepared to be homeless on the streets like this.
Yeah, and especially in a place like Raleigh, which was your hometown and
Yes.
a place that you felt safe before.
Yes.
And now you're in a completely different situation.
Yes.
So eventually you made your way to a shelter,
Yes.
and that was not the best situation.
No, it definitely wasn't the best situation, but I am grateful that we were there because we had shelter, but it was a lot going on there. It was a lot of drama. I feel like the food, it definitely wasn't up to par. I feel like the rules and the people that work there, they don't really care. But, I mean,
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, felt like they didn't care. But I was definitely grateful that we had somewhere to stay, for sure.
And you said one of the biggest issues you told me when we were talking about doing this show was the conditions. The bathrooms were very not sanitary, and also the people that were there, you felt like there was also danger, as there is on the street, of fighting and people dealing with mental illness and addiction.
Yes, definitely. The bathrooms had a lot of mold in there. And then it's like 50 women, and there's a bathroom with 5 showers, 3 sinks, and 3 toilets. That's just not enough. It's just not enough. And then you have to realize that everybody is different. So we did have a lot of women in there that were dealing with mental health issues, which we had to acknowledge that.
Right. And so therefore, it was just not a comforting place to be, even though it was off the street.
I barely wanted to go to sleep.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So eventually you found a very special organization in downtown Raleigh, which is a place that's close to both of our hearts, A Place at the Table, which is a pay what you can cafe. Tell me about your experience when you started going there.
So I started going to A Place at the Table in July, and the community was talking about it. It was like, you guys have to go to A Place at the Table. So I'm like, okay. We went. As soon as we walked in, we had all our bags with us because we had to carry our bags with us every day. As soon as we walked in, we felt so much love. It was like a place where we belonged. It was a place just for us that didn't have anywhere to go. You never know when you're going to get hot food, good food. And it was just so loving and inviting. It's a special place to my heart.
And just, to back up a little, because I don't think everybody realizes this, when you're on the street and you don't have a safe place to keep your belongings, you have to keep them with you all the time.
24/7, all the time, and you have to be watchful. Don't put your things down.
And so that could be garbage bags. It could be luggage. Sometimes it's luggage that's falling apart. It's just whatever you have to carry your items.
That is so true.
And I think one of the things that we both embrace about A Place at the Table is the fact that it's not just about a handout or giving somebody a meal when they're down and out. It's about creating a community where people really support one another.
That is true.
Yeah. So things have turned around.
They have
They're
turned around.
beginning to turn around for you. So you got a job.
Yes.
And you're working full time.
Yes, I am.
And you are out of the shelter. You are off the street.
Definitely off the street and out of the shelter.
So you're just waiting to kind of get enough money that you guys could actually put a deposit down on an apartment.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So what's it been like for you to come full circle?
Well, I feel like I still haven't necessarily had my full circle moment, but when I look back to July 1st to now, I'm just so grateful because there's a lot of things that could have happened to us, but they didn't happen. And God has really been shielding us. And I've learned so much in this process. It didn't feel good, but now that I'm becoming and evolving into a new woman, it was good for me. It was necessary for me to go through this process because now when I come out, I have a story to tell.
And you're so much stronger.
And I'm so much stronger and wiser. My character, everything about me is different.
And I would say also, just from what I've observed of you, you're just so compassionate towards people who are struggling.
Yes. And that's the thing. I was already very compassionate, but in this process, I'm more compassionate than I've ever been before because I really understand now. Because this is the life that I'm living. When the people walk in the doors of A Place at the Table and I'm there, I'm one of them. We're the same.
And what do you want people to know about how easy it is? Just one job loss away divorce, loss of a child, mental illness, addiction, all these things that happen to people, if they happen, especially if they happen, several things at a time, anyone could be in this situation.
Anybody. It can happen to anybody. Don't ever get too comfortable and get in that spirit of that would never be me. Don't ever look down on people, because today it can look like this and then tomorrow it can be something completely different that's so unexpected.
And what's the biggest thing you're looking forward to? You already told me this, but I'm waiting to hear.
The biggest thing I'm looking forward to is getting a place so I can get my baby back.
Right. And how old is she?
She's 10.
And so just wanting to create that home again.
Yes.
That safe space for you and your partner and your daughter and your family. Well, Connie, congratulations on coming as far as you have.
Thank you.
And I can tell you that my life has been blessed by knowing you. So I just appreciate you sharing your story with our listeners.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. For more news from WRAL, sign up for the WRAL Morning Briefing newsletter. You'll be informed and ready to face the day with one concise email. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter. Thanks again for listening.